Morning everyone. My name is Ronald. I'm the Innovations Officer here, where we are being hosted. This is the Eastern Africa Resilience Innovations Lab. So I'll be taking you through the human-centered design approach to innovations, or what we refer to as design thinking. In our everyday life, we always get into issues, we always maneuver through many hurdles, but this approach is really basic, and we can always apply it in many circumstances. So briefly, this is RUN. RUN is a lab that is under what we call the Higher Education Solutions Network. It is covering 18 universities across Africa. We really center all our interventions in these universities, and we are now targeting a pool of 100,000 scholars. When you look at this map, in yellow, we have the Eastern Africa Lab that is being hosted by Makerere University. Then in green, we have the Horn of Africa Lab being hosted at the University of Jima. Then we have the West African Lab that is hosted at the University of Development Studies in Ghana. And we have the South African Lab being hosted at the University of Pretoria in SA. Now, what does really RUN stand for? RUN stands for Creating Resilient Communities through Innovations. And so all the labs we've seen handle particular thematic issues that really impede communities from being resilient. We have a core issue with the climate change, and as you can see in this photo, this was an aftermath of a landslide. And so with all these problems that we have in our communities, we always apply particular approaches in sourcing our innovations. Briefly, to take you through what we call an innovation at RUN. It can be a technology, it can be an approach that outperforms normative ways. How we always run away from the normal ways of doing things. We always run away from actually thinking outside the box. We say we think without, we throw away the box. You don't even think near the box. So you always look at things that actually can outperform the usual. And actually it can also drive behaviors, outcomes, value creation. It can actually be what we call a paradigm changer or a system. It can cause a full system transformation. And also we can actually build on existing ideas, or we can develop novel approaches or ideas. So I'll acknowledge Professor Bani Banaji, one of the key professors that we are working with from Stanford University Change Labs, the director of Stanford Change Labs. So that is the definition of innovations at RUN. Now, we are getting into the human-centered design, or what we call designing for the human experience. Let's look at this diagram. Whatever we are thinking of in this world must actually encompass these three aspects. When you look at the business viability, we are talking of what are you thinking about, how viable is it? Is it marketable? Can the communities afford what you're trying to create? Then, can this intervention run on existing platforms? And that brings in the aspect of technology. Can we really think of something that is actually going to be appreciated by the already existing platforms? And then the human needs. Is it user-friendly? Will these communities appreciate? So our intervention always centers around here, and that is what we call a disruptive innovation. But all these three aspects must be catered for if it's actually to come out clearly as a well taken up innovation. Now, these are the examples that we already have here at RUN. In the pictures, we have earthworms. A team is trying to come up with an intervention where they are substituting highly fought for silverfish, because there is really a high competition with human consumption, and they are substituting that as an additive in the poultry feeds with earthworms. So this team is looking at how can we massively breed earthworms so that they can be used as a substitute in poultry feeds. Then this is called the Matibabu, or what we call the Matiscope, is also still under development. A team is really trying to see how can we test malaria non-invasively, where you don't have to draw blood, the Matiscope, and they are riding on the concept of what we used to, a device that is used to test for oxygen levels in our blood. So that is the intervention, and this is a solar pump. Still, it's also an intervention in agriculture, where people are looking at now how can we cater for the small-scale farmers during the dry spells, and they are looking at creating a solar pump. Then the other one is a community radio where now people are trying to look at how can we, our communities, at our LLC levels, how can we really get the radio from the highly priced studios to our community level. So it's called the radio in the bucket, or commonly known as Rutio. Then this is actually growing hydroponic fodder in 60 days. It's solving the problem of dry spells, where you're able to actually grow this grass in 6 days for your cattle. And this is the improved push and pull technology, where someone is using desmodium seeds, actually intercropping a particular weed that fights another adverse weed in the garden. So these are some of the interventions, and all these interventions have gone through this process. So this is the process of human-centered design. We have two extremes on the y-axis, as you can see, the abstract end and the concrete end. When you look at this, it simply takes us through the 5 steps. And I'll dwell more on the first step, understanding the user experience. As you can see here, in the present state, you always want to understand the user need. So what we do with the need finding, we get down to these communities, try to behave like these communities. We actually create what we call empathy. We try to behave, we want to stay with them so that we understand what is the need, how are they coping up, how can we intervene. And after that, you get into now reframing the problem. Because when you get to these communities, we go there with naive minds. You actually don't know what these communities need. Well, in your office, as you're trying to create an intervention, you may think that these communities will appreciate whatever you're coming up with. But it's a requirement that you get to the communities, the users, your customers, and understand what is the core need, how are they coping up with the current situation. And after getting all those insights, you now try to reframe the problem. When you're reframing the problem at this level, on this graph, as you're trying to reframe the problem, you incorporate the insights that you got from the need finding, okay? And now as you're moving along this, you now get into the abstract end. And in the abstract end, remember, this other end, you actually have now known what the problem is. Now you're trying to frame your problem based on what you got from the users. And number 3, try co-creating solution options. You think widely now. Because you know the problem, you say, how really can I help out these communities? Instead of you actually concentrating on what you thought at first, after reframing the core problem, now you try to think, how many solutions can apply to this problem? And that's what we call divergent thinking. After going through the divergent thinking, brainstorming of those many solutions, you come here, try to converge, and then you create a number of concepts from which you zero on the most optimal solution. That most optimal solution comes from the many ideas, and then the 4th is what we call rapid prototyping. And in rapid prototyping, the core purpose of rapid prototyping is trying to visualize how the final solution will be and how it will be able to solve the problem that you identified in number 1. And in rapid prototyping, as we shall see, you use the most available material. You just use what is around you to try to create visuals of what you want to come up with. And that helps us to really fail fast and fail cheaply. Because you don't have to come up and create things that you actually don't know whether they will work in communities. So rapidly creating those prototypes helps us to actually iterate. You do a prototype, give it to the end users, they appreciate, they work with it, they interact with it, and then you get feedback. Getting that user feedback helps you refine what you're trying to create. So most of the prototypes, I'll show you some of these prototypes that we have here. We use manila paper, we use markers, just to create a user experience of how this shall be in the final stages. Then you pitch and proceed with the most scalable options. After creating that, you go and present it to the end user, explain to them how it should work, how they should use it in the day-to-day experience, and then you scale basing on their feedback. This design was put up by very intelligent engineers, but because there is a way how the human mind is structured, the human mind always wants to use the easy way out. Okay? So we always face such a challenge when we are developing these solutions. For you to think someone will actually use this way, but they always want to use the easy way out. Okay? And so this is what is happening. What you should do as an innovator is to find out what can make these people use this other path. Or if they can't use this path, why are they using this path? And therefore, as a wise innovator, you don't have to concentrate on this one, but try to see how you can ease life for these users. Then this one, the reason why we go out there to do what we call a need finding or understanding the user is best illustrated using this. This is an iceberg, but as always, we know that in our normal interaction, you say, that is just the tip of an iceberg. You don't know what is the underlying phenomenon. So while we go out there to understand our users, for us who may think maybe these users want these very, very small phones, okay? But when you go out there to the community, you'll find out that actually they prefer the large phones with actually more visible pictures, and we always get that through going back to the communities, understanding their needs. So as you can see here, you can easily see on top just the tip of an iceberg, but the underlying phenomena is actually down here. The principles of need finding. When we go to the communities to understand these needs, what they actually need, these are the basic principles.